Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the 15 rules all rich people follow. Do you guys want to be super rich? Maybe you just want to be really successful and productive. Or maybe you just want to save some money on the side so you can get that next car or dream vacation. Well, here are some tips and life rules all rich people follow. But before we get into it, please subscribe to my second channel. There'll be a link to it in the top of the comment section, so please subscribe, it would mean a lot to me. Coming in at number 15, we have the 24-hour rule. So this is a very uncommon rule known by very few people. But many millionaires and even billionaires use this rule all the time. But you don't have to be a millionaire to use this rule. In fact, it will help you become one. When we go into a store and see something we like, we probably buy it. That's because commercials and promotions in stores trigger an emotional impulse. This makes us want to buy what we want right away. It's only human. But the 24-hour rule means that before making a big purchase, you need to wait at least 24 hours. For example, if you're in a store and you see a t-shirt you really like but it's $50, you may just buy it. But if you employ the 24-hour rule, you'll leave the store and then maybe consider it in 24 hours. Just by sleeping on it, you may decide you don't actually want the t-shirt or other item it may be. Most of the stuff we buy is unnecessary. Let's face it, in your wardrobe you likely have many outfits you almost never wear. But how do millionaires make the decision on the 24-hour rule? Well, they divide it up into two things: want and need. If you don't actually need something, you shouldn't really buy it. Ask yourself the question, do you want that t-shirt or those shoes because of how they look? Or are you just buying it to appease other people's opinions? For example, are you just buying it to fit in? These are all things you can think about during the 24-hour rule. Then after 24 hours, you can go and order it online or go back to the store and buy it if you really want or need it. Next up is cash only. In the modern world, less and less people are using cash. It's much more convenient to pay with a credit or debit card. Some people even use apps like Apple Pay to pay for things now. And more things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are becoming a big way to pay. But more and more rich people are actually using cash only. This is because when you buy things with cash, you only buy things you can actually afford. There's nothing worse than getting a big credit card bill in the mail. Now, you may need to use a credit card for some purchases, but for things like smaller purchases, it's much better to use cash. All of those small purchases from your credit card really add up and then become a big bill. One way to become rich is simply to not have any debt. So start carrying cash and try and buy smaller items using cash. That way you won't rack up any credit card debt and you'll be one step closer to being rich. Bill Gates states he keeps around $200 in his wallet at all times. This way he won't overspend using a credit card. Of course, Bill Gates is a billionaire and doesn't need to worry about going into debt. But for rich people like Bill Gates, it's all about the principle and keeping to these very rich millionaires' rules. Next up, we have spend to earn. Ask any successful entrepreneur and they'll tell you that you need to spend money to make money. Now, that doesn't mean you need to spend a ton of money on unnecessary things. However, when you do splurge, make sure it's on something that will actually help you earn. You can think of buying things like a long-term investment. For example, a new phone you'll replace in 2 years isn't exactly a good long-term investment. But if you make a purchase that helps your work or job, this will actually make you earn more money. Many money experts actually advise you to things that help you. This could be something like a gym membership you'll actually use to work out. Or maybe a reliable card to help you get to work on time every day. Or perhaps a more quick laptop so you can work more efficiently and do lots more things. These are all items that help your health, well-being, and your job. Think of it as a long-term investment and think how much money you'll actually earn from what you're buying. That way you can make yourself happy with these fun purchases and also earn money from them. Next up, we have experiences versus things. If you look at the Instagram feeds of many millionaires, they actually don't show off their luxury possessions that often. Instead, their Instagram feeds are full of flamboyant lifestyle experiences. Well, there's a reason for that, and that is because when you're rich, you actually value experiences more than possessions. Millionaires realize that buying a new pair of shoes or a new cell phone won't necessarily make them happier. We're all excited when we get a new t-shirt or a new cell phone, but that excitement soon wears off. However, an experience we remember forever and it can actually help us in our lives. Maybe we'll refresh our minds or learn something new. That's why one rule of rich people is they prioritize spending on experiences instead of things. This could be something like a world-changing trip. Or it could even be something extreme like mountain biking or skydiving. Even if you want something more calm and relaxed and cheaper, you could just go on a small out-of-town vacation or maybe buy a gym membership. These are very simple experiences which can actually benefit your life and health. This keeps you physically fit and keeps a healthy mind too. And of course, those things are essential when it comes to making more money. Next up is no spend periods. If you want to be rich, it's not good enough to just save up and make lots of money. You actually need to make sure you don't spend all of that money you've saved on unnecessary things. That's why many rich people do things called no spend periods. These are days or weekends where they don't spend any money. Can you remember the last day you didn't spend money? You may not be able to, as it does cost a lot just to live. But think of one weekend where you didn't necessarily have to spend money. Try it out for a day each week. For example, say on Wednesday you won't spend any money. Or maybe carve out a weekend and say, this weekend I'm going to do free activities and not spend a dime. Just doing this every so often really does add up and helps you save lots of money. Next up is buy time. Billionaire Bill Gates says he doesn't splurge on anything except one thing. That is, a private jet. But why exactly does he do this? It may sound like a waste of money, but it isn't. Really what Bill Gates is doing is he's buying time. He travels a lot and he also values his time. We all know how time consuming going through the airport and security can be. So by buying this private jet, he's actually saving a lot of time, which is a worthy investment for him. Now, I'm not saying you need to buy a private jet. However, you can spend your money to buy time. For example, instead of trying to fix your computer yourself, you could hire a professional to do it for way less time. Then you can spend that time you've saved making more money. You could also do something like pay to get your groceries home delivered. This saves you going to the store and also buys you time. Or instead of doing your own laundry, you could go to a laundrette and get them to do it for a cost. This may sound lazy, but if you're actually using the time you save productively, it really isn't. This is a tip many rich people use to get the most out of their 24 hours. It's not uncommon for millionaires to have lots of staff to do things for them. That's not because they're lazy people, just because they value their time. They know they'll make more money in the time they would have saved. Instead of doing these tasks, they can pay other people to do. Next up, we have sleep. You may think that millionaires and billionaires who work all the time don't get enough sleep. But that's not the case, and if you ask many millionaires, they'll tell you that sleep is essential. Arianna Huffington, founder of the Huffington Post and a billionaire, says she loves sleep. She says she works so hard during the day because she gets 8 hours of sleep every night. Some people are different. You may need 11 hours of sleep or just 6. Millionaire Gary Vaynerchuk says it's totally fine to get as much sleep as you need as long as you're doing good things in the day. So don't feel guilty and be sure to sleep when you're actually tired. Otherwise you'll just be worn out and you won't be performing your best, and thus you won't make much money. Next up is bills before Balenciagas. There's nothing wrong with splashing out every now and then, but you have to get your priorities straight. Let's say you've made lots of money and you want to buy a very expensive pair of Balenciaga shoes. Well, there's one B that has to come before that, and that is bills. One rule all rich people follow is making sure their expenses are managed before they splurge. Many rich people will pay their fixed expenses on the very first day they can. This gets it out of the way and then they know exactly how much money they have left over. If you're really smart and productive, you'll actually use an automated system to pay your bills so you don't have to. That way you have a clear view of how to spend the rest of your money and save it. You don't want to spend too much money and then not have enough to pay the bills. So that's why it's always best to pay your bills as soon as you can to get it out of the way so you know how much money you have to work with. Next up is repair. Billionaire Warren Buffett has driven the same car for 30 years. He makes enough money to buy 10 Lamborghinis every single day, but he doesn't. And there's a reason for that. It's because the rich like to get every last breath out of their purchases. And one thing rich people love to do is to repair things instead of simply throwing things away and buying a new one. For example, if your shoes get damaged, what do? Do you A, throw them away, or do you B, try and mend them yourself? This can be a great rule to follow as it saves money and the planet too. While it may be easier to buy something brand new, it actually saves a lot more money by fixing it. And you'd be surprised how easily you can fix things you may throw away. Next up is sales. So while it's good to save money, everyone has to buy things every now and then. Maybe you feel it's time to upgrade your phone. What a rich person would do is map out when there's a sale for cell phones. Maybe they'll wait until the Black Friday sales. Or perhaps a simple Google search could find them a store which is selling phones at a discounted price. Searching and planning out sales periods is a great idea and will save you a lot of money. It's really surprising how simply planning this out can save you hundreds of dollars. Just be sure not to get too enticed by all the sales signs and buy things you don't actually need. And before buying anything on sale, make sure you still apply the 24-hour rule. Coming up next is choosing friends. This one is very long term and isn't directly related to money. However, the people you surround yourself can become key to whether you're rich or not. It can be a hard task, but if you want to be successful, you need to choose your friends very wisely. Think about and maybe reevaluate friendships you already have. If you always hang around negative people who drag you down, maybe start to cut them out of your life. If you want to become very rich, then try and make friends who can help you with that. Hang out with good, honest people who have your best interest in mind. Very positive and dependable people are always great to hang around with. But if people are very cynical and negative and always drag you down, then it's time to not have them as your friends anymore. It may be a tough thing to do, but it's what very, very rich people always do and it works very well. Next up is get out of the office. Don't get me wrong, it's great to work to earn lots of money, but you don't learn all that much just by sitting behind a desk 24/7. You can get a whole new perspective on things simply by changing your location. If you're meeting with clients or customers, try and have that meeting out of the office. This can allow you to expand your network and meet new people. Not only that, simply changing your location can change your perspective and help you think more clearly. Everyone needs to be in the office every now and then, but sometimes it's good to move some tasks out of the office if you can. Facebook employees are often known for taking meetings outdoors. This helps people to clear their head and get a whole new perspective on what they're talking about. And of course, a new location means new people, allowing you to meet more people and network greater. You never know, you may run into that special person who helps you become rich. Coming up next is budgeting. This one may seem obvious and some of you may already do it. But one essential tip every rich person does is stick to a budget. On your payday, try and carve out how much you're actually earning and how much you'll be spending. Then simply put a cap on how much you're going to spend. For example, if you earn $4,000 a month, say you're only going to spend $2,000 for that month. This is such a simple way to know how much you're actually earning and how much you'll actually spend so you can keep control of it. It's also best to write this down somewhere where you'll see it every day so that you don't forget. And finally on the list of rules rich people follow, we have listen more, speak less. Steve Jobs famously said he doesn't hire smart people to tell them what to do. He hires smart people so they can tell him what to do. This is a simple rule that you can also follow. If you're having a conversation with a friend or a business associate, listen to their crucial points. Communication is key, and this is something every rich person knows. The founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, said the number one thing he looks for in employees is great communication skills. That's because he knows that if you can communicate well, you can make much more money. So be sure to really listen and take in what everyone's saying, as it could be crucial. So those were the tips that every single rich person follows. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the best rich person rule. I think it's the 24-hour rule, as that's so handy for not wasting money on unnecessary things. And guys, as I said at the beginning of the video, please do check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that coming up on screen in a second, so please do check it out. But as always, thanks so much for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.